Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Sorry for the 2-week hiatus. I was sort of sick with, a sore throat, and there was spring break, vacation, and all that. But we are back with my favorite number, 13th episode of the podcast. But before we begin on talking about the origin of podcasts, including this one, I'd first like to give a shout out to cacti. They're pretty great plants. They got thorns and stuff, juices on the inside, flowers, all sorts of good stuff happening over there. If you would like me to give a shout out to an object in the future, feel free to comment it down below. Overall, I give cactus a perfect 5 out of 7. So you know how this podcast works. I've narrowed down the origin of podcasts to 3 sources. Now, let's find out which one. I have created a foolproof method to point me in the direction of the truth, literally. Google Monolith, reveal the truth. You see, this arrow is the thing pointing me in the direction. That's why I said literally. The Google Monolith doesn't lie. There is more truth found with aliens than either of the 2 candidates, as you're about to learn from me. So what do aliens have to do with podcasts? Well, obviously they invented them. Podcast technology predates Nerf for aliens by about 500 years. This time is obviously much shorter on Earth due to us being able to assimilate Nerfular weapons from the aliens themselves. The reason why it was 500 years is because in the early days, just shouting really loudly, it's pretty easy to do, a whole lot easier than creating Nerfular weapons. As time progressed, obviously, the technology got better, and they started broadcasting their podcasts through the air without, just shouting really loudly. They used microphones and radios and stuff, and eventually broadcast it through outer space, though less intentionally, similar to how we broadcast things into space. The first alien podcast reached Earth in the year 1657, which was a year unlike any other, in that it was the year that the first alien podcast reached Earth. Of course, nobody was really listening for an alien podcast, as radios hadn't been invented yet. They were too busy having Anglo-Spanish wars and declaring war on Sweden and losing decisively next year. Everything in dark yellow is what the Danes got to keep. Sweden took all the rest. Way to go, Denmark. But it's easy to forget we're not here to rail on Frederick III of Denmark, a mistake I make all the time. We're here to talk about aliens. The first detectable alien transmission came in 1423, where an unnamed time traveler known as George brought a radio signal receiver to a remote island in the Pacific Ocean, where he's still living today, listening to the Aliens podcast. But wait, you say. You just said that the first podcast reached Earth in 1657. How can one be detected in 1423 when the first one didn't arrive for 200 more years? Well, magic, obviously. Of course, to someone in 1657, a cell phone would be magic. Cars would be magic. Everything would be magic. So for the aliens, thousands or even millions of years more advanced than us, what wouldn't be possible with their magical technology? Unlike our measly audio-only podcasts on Earth, alien podcasts include videos as well. You heard me. I'm using alien technology to justify calling my video series a podcast. Regardless of my ulterior motives, do you want to know what that first alien podcast was in 1423? Well, of course you do. Let me show you. That's right. The first ever alien message we received was a Rickroll. The aliens, knowing George's plan to go back to 1423 and listen for messages, decided to prank him by transmitting Never Gonna Give You Up back through time to 1423, where he listened in and got pranked. The aliens aren't evil, and they weren't terrible people for having done this, though. After all, they did allow me to use their dual output podcast technology to create what you're watching right now. not to mention all of the audio-only podcasts predating the discovery and adoption of the new dual format that you're more likely to find by searching for podcasts. The Aliens podcasts were so numerable that they were penetrating the Earth's atmosphere with thousands of messages a second. They have since gone green and now transport all of their podcasts to 1422, where even just holding a circular object up the wrong way can bombard you with entertaining information, which was the exact cause of death of both Henry V of England and Constantine II of Bulgaria, who were killed when a German clockmaker knocked over an hourglass shooting concentrated podcasts in the direction of both England and Bulgaria simultaneously. So remember, kids, aliens invented podcasts, rickrolled time travelers, and inspired Earth's more primitive podcasts that are audio only. Most importantly of all, watch out for German clockmakers. That's about it. Thanks for watching.